Well, I think government waste. I mean, for them to invoke that just either shows that they're out of ammunition, or they know people hate on spending, and they're in the mood where they don't want to hear about more spending. And I think they're just trying to jump on that. But again, you're talking about this idea. I keep hearing this restricting the right to vote. I would really challenge that. The state of Indiana has probably the strictest voter ID law in the country. Much more strict than what is being proposed on the ballot in November. And from 2006, and it's the famous court case of Crawford v. Marion, if you want to look it up. The Supreme Court ruled 6-3. John Paul Stevens wrote the majority opinion just to show how, who's no friend of conservatism. But in 2006, and then in 2010, the two off presidential elections, the voter turnout went up, not down, despite the voter ID. And they had an all-time record turnout in 2008. So you tell me, who's being suppressed here? If the state with the strictest voter ID law has an increase in voters, where are the victims to this?
It almost smells like having an ID makes people feel more empowered.
Well, and I think if you're going to be a success in our country, having an ID, speaking English, all those things are almost an absolute must. I mean, you want to take money out of the bank, you want to get a job, you want to drive a car. I mean,
rent a movie,
right.
Get a haircut. I meant to bring that clip in. I actually have a document for a coupon for a haircut that says you must show a valid ID to get the $5.99 special.
Buy a drink, buy smokes. I mean, how do you do anything like even using my cash card sometimes?
To get your food stamps, you need an ID. To cash your Social Security check, if you're an elderly or poor, you need that ID. And you've heard it all before. The list goes on, and that's why I wanted to add some new ones to the list, like the haircut and the movies and so forth. It never ends. And then they want to talk about, well, let's show the next clip.
Students are smart, educated citizens and workers. It is essential that we engage them today to ensure that Minnesota continues to lead the country in voter participation. If we make it more difficult for them to vote now, what message are we sending to them for our desire for them to be active and engaged citizens of the future?
Our state is too good to play politics with democracy.
Minnesota, traditionally, since we went to election day registration in 1973, has had the highest rate of voter participation in federal elections for the entire period after that. I think there are three things that are important to me as far as conducting an election systematically. Number one is accuracy. I think the public expects us to be 100% accurate 100% of the time. And although that probably is not a realistic goal in the real world, that is the goal toward which we are striving. Number two.
Okay, I think that was the part of the film when I was at that, like I told you, the little party that they had, that I had to force myself to stay awake. What did he just say? It didn't make any sense to me at all. Transparency, and then they show the voter booth. What, do you want to be in the voter booth with me looking over my shoulder with a camera? I don't care.
Well, and again, this idea that it's what message are we sending? We're sending, first off, we want people to be informed, but people have to take it upon themselves to be informed. You can't force somebody to vote. You can't drag, even though people try to drag people to the polls. Voting and being engaged is a self-motivating thing. It's got nothing to do with whether you have an ID or not. There's plenty of dumb people out there with an ID who vote.
Yes, it's very unfortunate, and they, a lot of people don't study and even know. It's kind of a crapshoot. Oh, I've heard of this guy before and whatnot. What message are we trying to send? We're trying to send the message that you need an ID to vote. What's the problem? I still haven't ever gotten that answer clarified.
Yeah, not sure what that guy said. We need a translator at the bottom of the page.
And he said something about democracy. I'd like to mock democracy for a moment here. This is a republic, and you can't seem to get that through your head either. It's always, this is democracy. Well, that means that you get a vote, one person, one vote. You're entitled to that, but that's not, the president isn't even elected by the popular vote. That's what this is, a republic, and it is the delegate process that actually elects the president.
Yes, and delegate process of nominations as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all, a lot of it is indirect representation. The way the Constitution was set up is that the House was your direct representation, the Senate is supposed to represent the states, and the president indirectly represents the people. So
Indirectly.
it's a republic, not, well, indirectly meaning
Right.
electoral college.
Right, I know, and I hate hearing that, but, I mean the part where people always go, this is a democracy. But anyway, if it worked that way, it would be mob rule, and there'd be a lot of uneducated people making a lot of really important decisions.
And we wouldn't
So
have,
that's why
we wouldn't have Obamacare either.
Exactly. Okay, so now we've got another silly clip that we'd like to show you.
The system should be accessible. It needs to be available to the public. That we want to make sure that everyone who is eligible to vote is able to vote. And then third, the system should be transparent. Whether it's a voter or candidate from a political party should be able to see what's going on at every stage of the election process, and that we should be able to verify everything that we're doing as a part of the election after election day. And I think the fact that we had the 2 statewide recounts in 2008 and 2010 is pretty good evidence that
Pretty good evidence of gobbledygook. Again, I got nothing out of that. Didn't make any sense. Transparency. Ugh.
Well, and you talk about verification. Well, that's one of the problems with same-day voter registration. Is they're fixing the problem on the back end instead of the front end. Somebody will register to vote, they'll vote, and then you verify it after they vote, not before they vote. So the idea that, if accuracy and if verification is the thing, you need to verify that information before they get there,
Yes.
not after.
Yes.
So I don't know what that guy's talking about. I need to translate into Swahili again.
I couldn't figure it out, but it kind of dovetails with the next issue, and well, let's just see the clip, and then we'll digest it for you.
In 2010, the Nobles County Attorney stated that some people expressed concerns about illegal immigrants voting, but he hadn't had a single documented case of this reported to him.
How would they know? Okay, let's take, for example, the situation that I'm familiar with, and that is that my neighbor admitted to me that he vouched for 3 of his neighbors who were here illegally, and he knew it. So 3 people got to vote, and when I challenged him on that and told him I was going to report him, now he denies it. In the meantime, they've gone back to Mexico, but each of them got to have an illegal vote.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's all part of the verifying after the vote is cast. And, I'd like to know the person who made that statement, where's your footnote to that? I mean, where's the document or anything that I can go to that shows me what that clip said was true? If you have facts that show that no illegal, and I can't believe in a country of 20 million or 15 or however many illegal immigrants there are, we know how many there are, but we don't deport any. I'd like to know, what document do you have that backs up that claim?
See, and then now this person has been vouched for, and then they come back later and vouch for somebody else. I mean, it's just crazy. Exactly. How do you back that claim
And there
up?
was an incident, I can't remember what, I think it was 2008, where someone was caught outside of a voting booth vowing to vouch for anybody who'd vote for a certain candidate. It doesn't matter who the candidate was. It's wrong no matter what. But if somebody can get caught doing that at one polling station, there's 4,000 precincts in Minnesota. Okay, what's going on everywhere else?
And okay. Let's see. Let's roll the next clip.
Americans are killed by lightning more often than they're victimized by any sort of fraud that ID stops.
Okay, I have more of a chance of being hit by lightning than ever falling for any of this crap.
Well, it's another, unsubstantiated statement.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how many people get struck by lightning. No idea. And, and another thing, too, is making a case for voter fraud in a court of law is different than having shenanigans go on, because what's provable beyond a reasonable doubt is a different standard So it's really an unfair statement to say that, well, nobody was prosecuted for it. Well, maybe they couldn't make the case legally, which is a higher standard than just saying, hey, there are problems with the current system.